Introduce Charlotte. Charlotte Coppenhall is a primary teacher who now works as an educational freelancer, supporting many projects, organisations and individuals in a number of different ways. Charlotte has been a keen supporter of Step Up since our launch in 2023. Charlotte, over to you.
Hello, thank you very much. So I've got a short presentation just to go through, which I've titled Good Enough to Lead. So thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm Charlotte, a former primary and secondary head teacher with a vast background in school leadership, who now really loves supporting school leaders in a variety of different capacities. I met and worked with Ben and the Step Up Network for about a year now, and share the same passion and desire to support those aspiring to leadership positions. So that is the focus of my little talk this evening. So I didn't really come across this quote that's now on the screen, "If you're good enough, you're old enough," until after my school leadership journey. But it's a quote that really resonates with me. You've probably heard of people in the education world and other industries who talk about how age can be a barrier to certain roles as you get older, but we don't often hear so much about how it can be a barrier when someone may perceive that you're too young for a role. I'm not referring to experience here, this is simply about age. And as a young leader myself, I can certainly say that the examples that we'll show over the next couple of slides here, how due to being a younger leader than some people may expect you to be, I did feel an increased need to prove myself as worthy of the role, despite undertaking the same process as others who are older than myself. Therefore, this is the quote that now sticks with me and reminds me that regardless of others' perceived ideas, it's not your age that defines you as a good or successful leader. So my next slide talks about stereotypes. So we talk to our children about stereotypes in a number of different ways and try to break those stereotypes down. So one that springs to mind is science, when you think of a stereotypical scientist, and the pupils may think of an older person, perhaps male, who might wear a white coat and some glasses. And we break down that stereotype to show that a variety of people can be scientists, and it's not based on what you look like. So if we're doing that with our children, we really should be resetting our minds as to what a school leader might look like among our colleagues. Should they always be wearing a suit? Should I, as a school leader, always be wearing high heels so you can hear me as I come along the corridor? Should I be bouncing on that bouncy castle with the children and having fun? Or should I be sitting in that big chair in my office on my own? All of these stereotypical things about what a leader looks like, is that the same as what a good leader looks like, though? So then I've got a quote, and this is a quote that I could have chosen a selection of quotes for this presentation of things that have been said to myself as a young leader, but I decided to go with one of the more recent comments that were made to me. And in fact, this wasn't someone that was in education. This was my own neighbour who was talking to me about my work. And she said, "If you don't mind me saying, you're very young to be a head teacher." And this comment came from a really genuine place of interest. However, even today, these sorts of comments can bring up those feelings of needing to justify who I am or what I do because of my age. How old does someone need to be a senior leader or head teacher? Is there a defined age bracket that means once you hit that age, then you're a good leader? These are all questions that if you're aspiring to leadership as a young leader yourself, you may be thinking. So should aspiring young leaders be held back because of their age? And in my case, my age was mentioned before my experience. They didn't ask how long I had been teaching or how long I'd been a leader. Instead, they commented on my age or how old they thought I might be, which may not have always been correct. Would these same questions have been asked of me if I'd been teaching as long as I had been, or for even less time, but if I looked 10 to 15 years older? Would I have been questioned about being a leader if that had been the case, if I looked older or if I was older, even if I hadn't been teaching as long as I have? So what's more important? Is it your age and your looks or your actions? So thinking about leadership and bringing this away from me and back onto you, if you're a teacher contemplating taking on a leadership role, please do not let your age become an unnecessary barrier to your success. Your age should never hold you back. If you have the passion and desire for leading change and shaping teams and the drive and get up and go to move things forward, that's the right starting place to be. These are the qualities that make the perfect foundation for someone aspiring to be a leader and to make a difference in education. So here's a few top tips. If you're aspiring to leadership positions and you're unsure if you're too young for a position, grab those opportunities with both hands. So I've talked about age here, but we do need to remember that our experience is essential. So grab those opportunities and shadow others that you're surrounded by, take on a variety of roles, and all of these things will really help you on your pathway to leadership. Number 2, you may come across resistance as part of your journey towards leadership if you are a young leader, or even if you're not. And this can come from colleagues, parents, and others. So just remember, we're all big children, and that positive praise and taking the time to listen and having a chat goes a really long way to changing someone's mindset if you come across this hurdle. And number 3, really simple, just go for it. Even the most experienced leaders still have moments of self-doubt, so don't think you can't do it, particularly not because of your age. And my final thoughts, whether you're 26 or 62, it's just a number. Who you are as a leader and the way you lead and the effectiveness of your leadership cannot be measured by your age. I can't wait to hear about your leadership journeys in the future, so don't let any of these comments discourage you. Use them as a catalyst for your motivation and determination to be the best leader you can be.
Fantastic, Charlotte. Thank you so much. That was really, really inspirational talk, and absolutely right that age is just a number, and actually experience doesn't equal expert, because actually you could be doing something for a number of years, but actually not do it in a high quality way or with that passion and motivation that you can get. And I love the fact that you're addressing those stereotypes, and that we shouldn't be allowing stereotypes in other areas. So why should we allow that in leadership? Absolutely agree. Not your age that defines you. Absolutely. And also grabbing those opportunities when you can, and pushing forward while you've got them is so important. There's a few comments we got on Twitter and in the chat in terms of, and I think this sings through in terms of that imposter syndrome. And I think actually some young colleagues in teaching and education, their age can give them that imposter syndrome because they worry about what the parents say, what their colleagues are going to say. But actually your speech there has really driven a baton through that and said, no, ignore the chat. You know yourself, you know what you are passionate to do, and take that and go for it and do it. And at the end of the day, there's no time like the right time. There'll never be an ideal time. It's just when you feel that that is right for you and in that position. And like you say, you go through the same process. So if you've got the skills and the knowledge that is needed and that passion, then absolutely go for it. So thank you for that inspiring, call to action for those young leaders out there that are thinking of stepping up. Don't let your age be a barrier. It is just a number. So thank you, Charlotte. Brilliant.